Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's episode of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day to spend with me on the video. Always appreciate that. And guys, today I want to have an extensive conversation, give you guys a good seminar on lure colors as far as selecting the right type of color. This is one aspect of bass fishing that you don't hear as much about as you should, because lure color can mean everything. It can mean the difference between catching fish and not getting any bites at all, maximizing your fishing area. And I sort of want to give you guys my theory and my opinion on it from my own experience in bass fishing, different colors, how they work at different situations. So we're going to get into that today's episode. Also, guys, real quick, anyone interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can do that by going to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler. Just shoot me a private message. And also, guys, we have our Fish the Moment summer lake map breakdowns up on the site. These are maps that I built specifically for the website Fish the Moment. Great resources to get some good fishing places on your favorite lake or a lake you've never been to before. So I'll put that lake map breakdown link in the description if you guys would like to check that out, as well as with my other links. Really appreciate that. Okay, one of the things I have found about color with bass anglers is people tend to oversimplify colors. And I hear it all the time. It's like, I'm not going to get caught up in colors. Bass can't see colors. Bass are colorblind. The only thing bass can see is gray and red and whatever. I hear all the conversation out there about people trying to diminish how important color is. I can assure you guys, from fishing as long as I have, that color is massive. The type of color that you have, the lure color that you have, and matching the conditions that you have means everything. And hold on one second, guys. I got to take care of something real quick. Sorry about that, guys. The kids are having a get out of school party here, so it's sort of crazy around the house while I'm doing this video here. Okay, so anyway, back to colors. A lot of different things influence colors as far as what the bass like, what you need to consider with it. But the main things with color, there's three things that you really want to consider. Number one is the water clarity. Number two is the light intensity, sunlight conditions, clouds, that type of stuff. And then the third is is the hard one. It's like an undefinable aspect of color. It's just what the bass prefer. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to what they prefer color-wise. I've got some theories on it, but that is a reality of it. And this is one thing that is overriding amongst everything when you're talking about lure color, is you have to listen to the fish, what they want. Because sometimes, guys, I have seen bass go against what I'm about to tell you numerous times. Now, most of the time what I'm getting ready to tell you holds pretty true, but there are some times where it just blows those theories out the window. But it's just like, bass do that on anything. It's like they're unpredictable. They do what they want to do. They don't read books. They don't watch videos. So yes, that's one thing to remember. Okay. So you have three primary colors when you're talking about lure color. You have your flat finishes or your matte finishes. Let me actually grab a few off the wall here, which is a solid color finish lure. Then you have like a metallic finish, and then you have your more translucent finishes. Grab one here. I'll show you the difference. Now, when you're talking about lures, try to categorize your lure colors into those three right there. Now, there's different variations of these, but for one, let me show you here. You got the translucent colors where you can see through these lures. I can see my finger moving back through there. And then you got just a flat finish, like a painted finish, like a spray paint painted finish. And then you have some type of metallic finish right there that's just foil metallic finish. Now, given that, let's talk about those three categories, and then you're going to talk about specific colors within those lure genres there. In general, what you're going to have is a flat finish or a matte finish like this. It's a little bit better on cloudy days, low light days, or off-colored water. That's sort of the wheelhouse for this particular color frame. And then if you have a metallic finish, I have found that metallic finishes, they work in a diversity of water clarities, they work in a diversity of light conditions. But one thing that I have found about a metallic finish is you need to have some wind. For whatever reason, the wind really has a big part on this. And also, I prefer to have a little bit brighter conditions, because if you have some brighter conditions with sunlight, that sunlight tends to reflect off of that side there, which makes it more appealing. And then your translucent finishes, this would be your clear water color. For clear water, bright conditions where you have a lot of, bright light intensity, where you want to bait a little bit more subtle. You don't want it to stand out. Now, those are those three variations. Okay, now within those variations, you have different colors. You've got some chartreuses, you got shad patterns, and crawdad patterns. Those are the three primary ones. Some type of shad pattern. Well, you can have a perch pattern as well. Shad pattern, perch pattern. Chartreuse, anytime that you have a chartreuse on a crankbait, it sort of resembles a perch. And then if you got your red and oranges and browns, you got a crawdad imitator. So here is what I really want to get in today's video in terms of the colors, as far as considering that, what you want to look into. Okay, in my opinion, it's like when you're talking about different colors of lure, it's like you can't really consider the seasons as far as the seasonal patterns of the fish. Again, it's all about the water clarity with it. So if I'm in a situation where I have water visibility of, say, anywhere between 2 feet or greater, I'm going to consider a translucent colored lure based upon how bright the sunlight is. Now, if I have 2 foot of water clarity, which is a little bit of stain to the water, and I've got a cloudy day, I'm not going to be using translucent, because that translucent is going to blend in with the water. So it's going to become invisible a little bit too much with the dark, low light conditions. If I've got 2 foot of visibility in sunny conditions, then the translucent finish could be pretty good, because you're going to have more light penetration, and sometimes that little bit more subtle color pattern with that bright light intensity, even if the water's got some stain to it, it can still work good. Then again, if you have 2 foot of clarity and you've got cloudy conditions, that's when you want to use some type of a flat or matte finish like that. It's going to light it up a little bit more. It's going to be low light. That's going to be good with it. And then if you got partly cloudy conditions and wind, that's when I'm going to be going to some type of metallic finish. And that is on one end of the spectrum there. Now, if you've got clear water, say for example, water visibility of over 5 or 6 feet, most of the time you're always going to do better with the translucents. The translucents are going to, day in and day out, even if it's cloudy out, that clear water and the translucent colors are going to be really good. And if you have less than 2 foot of visibility, say the water's dirty, like a foot of visibility or something, you're always going to do better on the flat finishes, whether it be like a crankbait or, whatever lure that you're using. Just sort of a guideline with that. Now, in terms of specific different colors, the color specific that you're using has a lot to do with the season. Now, one thing that I found is when the water temperature is in the 40s, let's go through water temperature. When the water temperature is in the 40s, I always use some type of a shad pattern. And that shad pattern can be a translucent shad pattern, it can be a flat-sided shad pattern, or it can be a metallic shad pattern. But in that colder water, they love a shad pattern. Now, when the water starts getting into the 50s, that is when a crawdad pattern works good. Any type of brown, any type of red, orange. Again, it doesn't matter if the water visibility is 2 foot or 10 foot. When that water's in the 50s, bass really like some type of a crawdad pattern. When the water is in the 60s, that is going to be something where you're going to have a little bit of a diversity with that. One thing that I found out when water temperatures are in the 60s is that lures, hard baits, lures that have, like crankbaits and jerkbaits and topwaters, they don't work that good when the water temperature is in the 60s. It seems like for whatever the reason, when you have water temperature in the 60s, they really like a slow bottom bait. Not all the time. I'm not saying that, because there are situations where, you can still catch them on these, but I don't fish lures that have colors on them very much when it's in the 60s. When it's in the 60s, I'm fishing jigs, shaky heads, Texas rigs, Ned rigs, that type of deal. When the water gets into the 70s, which you're usually talking about post-spawn, this is when you're going to find a perch pattern works good. Perch patterns are going to be really good in May, June, and early July. In fact, they're my favorite color. And the perch pattern comes in a lot of different variations, guys. Like for example, the Megabass S-Crank, you can get a perch pattern like in a metallic finish or a flat finish. There's a lot of different options. So just use the guideline I just gave you in terms of flat, translucent, or metallic with the perch pattern. But you're going to find perch patterns are really, really good during those conditions. Now, as it gets warmer, say the hottest time of the year, they still like a perch pattern, but they like a bright one. They like a chartreuse side black back, chartreuse side blue back. usually in some type of a matte finish, a flat finish. I don't know what it is, but in hot water, that's what I go to. And I fish it fast. I don't care what bait it is, I'm fishing that bait fast because I don't want them to get a good look at it. It's bright, solid color, works pretty good with that. In early fall, when that water temperature first starts going back down, like into the low 80s, into the 70s, where it's dropping like in September and October, they go back to shad patterns. And it's the same with like the winter time. The shad pattern can be metallic, clear, flat. It just depends on the conditions that you have. And then as you get into the late fall and early winter, that is a really unique time because literally all of the lure color combinations can work. In the late fall, I catch them on crawdad patterns. I can catch them on a crawdad wigglewort in December at Table Rock. I can catch them on a shad pattern megabass, or I can catch them on a chartreuse sided one. It's like, for whatever reason, when that water temperature starts dropping back into the 60s during the fall and into the 50s, they'll hit a little bit of everything. But the water temperatures in the 60s in the spring are different than the water temperatures in the 60s in the fall in terms of colors that they prefer. Now that is just a very broad generalization that has, it works for me more than not, let me put it that way. Ultimately, guys, you have got to experiment. If you're fishing an area where you know there's some fish in there, and say you're catching a few fish, you're not ripping them, but you're getting one here and one there, that is a time you want to experiment with color. That's the first thing you want to do. It's like before you change lures, before you change lure sizes, before you change your speed or retrieve, try different colors. May not make any sense at all, no rhyme or reason to it until you try it. But one of the things that I have found out about bass, and this is something that's going to even be a stronger evolution in the future because bass have evolved to do this, is a lure is more attractive to a bass, not for the color that it is exactly, but a color that they have never seen before. A color of lure that bass have never seen before or they don't see very often can sometimes be the most effective one, even if it's an ugly color. I mean, let me give you guys a prime example of what I'm talking about here. I had this one favorite crankbait of mine that was a silver crankbait, and it had some green on the side of it. It was a metallic silver, it was metallic like on a bumper on a car or something like that. Bright chrome lip on this bait, bright chrome side with a little bit of green. And I couldn't find anybody that could repaint it because I lost them all, and I wanted to get some of these repainted. So a couple people said, we can't paint metallic, we can't paint chrome, it just doesn't turn out. And I finally found this one kid, I think he was from North Carolina, he texted me and he goes, yeah, I can do it. He goes, send me those baits and I'll do it. So I sent him about a half a dozen of my baits, and he sent them back to me, guys. And I looked at him and I just started laughing because it literally looked like this guy took some fingernail polish and painted this crankbait with fingernail polish. He painted the lip like silver, like fingernail polish silver, it's more of a creamy silver. And then the green sides, it looked like it was baby poop. It was like a ugly greenish brown with some silver lip on it. It was the ugliest looking crankbait I have ever seen in my life. And I just was mad. I just freaking wasted $100 having this guy paint my lures with fingernail polish. And about a year later, I was down at Table Rock Lake and I was fishing, and I was catching a few fish on this crankbait, not the color like that. And I looked down there and I saw those baby poop crankbaits that guy painted. I said, I'm just going to try this thing just to see, what it looks like in the water. Guys, I put that thing on and you can't believe how good the fish is. The fish ate it up. And I went on the next couple of years to win a bunch of money on it, do great in tournaments. It's just like it's one of my favorite colors now. But there's no rhyme or reason to it. It doesn't look like anything. It was simply because the bass have never seen it before. So never underestimate that. Just having a lure color they've never seen before makes a big difference. So, guys, hope it helps out. We'll talk later.